The Samaritans claimed to be the remnant of Israel, and claimed descent from the remnants of the 10 northern tribes abducted by the Assyrians. This is probably true. I see no reason to doubt their claim, but unfortunately, the Jews returning from the Babylonian exile did not accept their account of their origins, and thus was born a great schism in the people of Israel. You see, according to the Bible, the kingdom of Israel was divided into 2 kingdoms after the death of Solomon. The northern kingdom was Israel and the southern Judah. Jerusalem, and the temple, was in Judah, which kept all the Israelite tribes mostly united as one people, as northerners would still make annual pilgrimages to Jerusalem for Pesach, Sukkot and Shavuot. Anyway, the Assyrians conquered Israel and took away its people into captivity, the lost tribes, or did they? No doubt they left a few here and there, but they also moved other people into the land from elsewhere in the empire. Sometime later, Judah was conquered by the Babylonians and the Jews got carted off to Babylon. Then bear with me, this little narrative does have a point. I promise. The Persians conquered Babylon, and the Persians, we love the Persians. The Persians were good to the Jews. Cyrus the Great, of blessed memory, gave the Jews permission to return to Israel and gave them a big gift of gold and silver on top, knowing that the Jews would be loyal subjects of Persia. So a dour, joyless nudnik called Ezra the scribe leads the exodus back to Judah. Not everyone went. A lot of Jews preferred the good life in Persian-run Babylon. So Ezra turns up in Judah and gets to work rebuilding the temple. The Samaritans up north hear about their brothers the Jews turning up and offer to contribute to the construction effort. The thing is though, Ezra is, well, he's a bit of a puritanical, stuck-up schmuck, and he thinks the Samaritans aren't pure enough. One of the first thing good old Ezra, the life of the party, had done upon arrival in Jerusalem was to make all the Jewish men with non-Jewish wives and kids divorce their wives and send them away with their kids. So, given this guy was no fan of miscegenation, the Samaritans, who were probably a bit mixed at this point, didn't meet old Ezra's purity test and were sent packing. The Samaritans, pretty understandably, didn't take kindly to this and decided to build their own temple on Mount Gerizim, where the tabernacle had stood for centuries before the conquest of Jerusalem. The cheek! How dare they! Anyway, the bad blood between Jews and Samaritans didn't get any better, and 2 parallel Israelite societies emerged, each denying the legitimacy of the other. There were times when more enlightened figures in the Jewish community tried to build bridges with the Samaritans. One proposal was even made that Samaritans would be considered Jews if they would only agree to tear down their temple, remove all references to Mount Gerizim from their version of the Torah, and start coming on pilgrimage to Jerusalem. The Samaritans told the Jews that they could get stuffed, or maybe they could pull down their temple and start coming to Mount Gerizim instead. Anyway, in a peak, the majority of Jewish sages ruled the Samaritans to be Gentiles and not Israelites in any way, although there were always a few dissenting opinions. Anyway, then the Greeks turned up and tried to Hellenize everybody. We know the story of the Maccabees, but who knows the Samaritan version? That's right, they had their Samaritan revolt too. Then the Romans showed up and a long period of tension between Jews and Romans started. What about the Samaritans? Almost the same story. The Samaritans also had a bit of a diaspora going, and they built synagogues in places like Cyprus and Rome. Just like the Jews, they also attracted a few converts here and there, but, overall, they stayed our littler, lesser-known brother who got no respect. The Samaritans were not expelled because they did not rebel against Roman rule as hard as the Jews, but their temple got destroyed too. Samaritan numbers slowly dwindled after that. After the Islamic conquest, the Samaritans had a lot of problems. It was undecided whether they were people of the book or not, and were sometimes persecuted, sometimes tolerated as dhimmis. Their status was finally resolved under the Ottomans when the Jerusalemite Jewish community officially petitioned for the Samaritans to be recognized as an offshoot of the House of Israel, thus cementing their status as people of the book. This improved relations quite a bit, but not to the extent that Samaritans and Jews were prepared to see each other as true kin. Now, in the 20th century, there are only 600 Samaritans left. They pretty much all live around Nablus and get on well both with the Palestinians and Israelis. Fear of inbreeding has forced them to declare that their men may now marry Jewish women, but that these women must adopt Samaritan ways and customs. A few Samaritans have also left Samaritanism and converted to Judaism. Yes, Samaritans need to convert the same as Gentiles in order to be seen as Jews. It is hard to know if the Samaritans have a future or not, but, for now, they continue as a tiny remnant of the other Israelites. We all know that Joseph was the chosen king over Israel. Tribes and power goes to house of Joseph, otherwise Judah. His full brother Benjamin stood with Joseph. Tribes to form Judea and rest 10 northern tribes keeps a distance from the children of Rachel. So house of Joseph as the kings and Ephraim, Manasseh are his sub-tribes. There is a small clash between Ephraim and Manasseh in the matter of leadership, Joshua or Moses. Samaria, Judea conflict is otherwise Ephraim-Manasseh conflict. And it was exploited by North 10 tribes and their Baal priests like Levi after Solomon. The United Kingdom was splitted into two. 10 northern tribes unite with Ephraim and formed House of Israel, Samaria as capital. Benjamin stood with rest of Judah, i.e. Manasseh, as House of David with Jerusalem as capital. Hebrew scriptures called Ephraim as Samaria and Israel as well. In Assyrian invasion only 10 northern tribes are expelled. Judah and Benjamin remained in the land, Ephraim too. After that they may mix together for a while. That is why they are claiming the Ephraim-Manasseh ancestry as well as Levites. Because Levites are actually Manasseh, Moses was a Levite. Samaritans claimed Joshua as their leader and Joshua as Ephraim. Their holy site of Mount Gerizim was also connected to Joshua and Ephraim tribes. Lost tribes make Judah, Levi 2 sons for Leah to counter children of Rachel, southern kingdom, Judea, Joseph, Benjamin tribes. They want to steal power by making conflicts in house of Joseph. Romans used it with Jesus as well. Jesus came only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and he hate Jews in Samaria and in Jerusalem. We know the rest of the story and what happened to Jews when they hanged Jesus.